Okay, the Sydney Roosters versus the Cronulla Sharks is the NRLW Grand Final. Interesting one. The two best defences in the women's game this season. The Sharks a little bit disappointing towards the end of the regular season, but they've bounced back with a emphatic win over the Broncos, keeping the Broncos to nil. The Roosters they emphatically beat Newcastle, but Newcastle were too loose. So this final is going to come down to an arm wrestle. And I do think the Sharks have a very, very good chance if it does become like an arm wrestle type grand final, and if they restrict the space the Roosters really, really like because they have some good flair attacking players. An arm wrestle doesn't suit the Roosters. An arm wrestle suits the Sharks. The Sharks like gritty, tight, close games. You would expect the Sharks, with the talent they have available in the women's game, to score more points, and that is their weakness. They don't score enough when they're on top, when they're dominant. And we've seen this in many, many games where they are dominant, they do win the game, but they should win by a lot more points than they actually do this season. Defensively, though, brilliant. Apart from the last few games of the regular season, defensively, one of the best defences out there. They massively transformed themselves from the previous season where they had some teething issues in their first year. The Roosters, I think the main concern for the Roosters is injuries. Kelly and Sturgis, the two starting centres, that could mean a backline reshuffle. Now, they coped with it today, they managed their injuries today, but that could prove problematic. In an arm wrestle type game, a lot of physicality, that could prove problematic if they're not at 100%, which we don't think they are. Sturgis probably may start, but Kelly's basically how she played with a dislocated elbow with a ruptured ligament is beyond me. A lot of strapping there, not as effective today. And you could argue that with Penatani and the other outside backs for the Sharks, they could target these two players because they're not 100% fit, not as mobile, and carrying injuries. So that could be interesting. However, kick pressure is going to prove key, and territory pressure is going to prove key. If the Roosters are allowed space and they're not pressurised when they're coming out of their end, this could be a difficult day for the Sharks. However, they easily frustrated the Broncos earlier today. So, two best defensive going at it. I would say the Roosters are slight favourites. However, the injuries that they're carrying into this grand final may prove problematic. The Sharks, on the other hand, they've got to figure out how to score more points when they're on top. But I'm thinking this could be, I wouldn't say necessarily a scrappy affair, but a very, very tight arm wrestle, which may suit the Sharks. This could be a very, very close game. I can't predict a winner, even though I would say the Roosters are slight favourites because they just have more points in them. The way the Sharks proved against Brisbane, another high-scoring side, you can shut them down. If they shut down and frustrate the halves and their skill players and turn it into an arm wrestle, it could be a very, very interesting grand final. And we've seen the Roosters get frustrated when they are shut down in the last couple of seasons. They lose their cool and they have been held to nil a few times. And there will be memories of last year's semi-final when Gold Coast beat them, again holding them to nil. So I wouldn't say the Roosters are outstanding favourites. I would say they're slight favourites. I'm going to say this could potentially go to Golden Point. The weather, it's looking fair weather, decent weather. A minimal chance of rain, most likely going to be a pleasant, slight breeze, kind of lower, cooler temperatures, but decent conditions to play in, which may suit a high-paced game as well. So, again, if it's a high-paced arm wrestle, with those injuries the Roosters have, could that count against them, even though they have shown that they have great attacking combinations and can score points freewheeling? On the Cronulla side, they've really got to tighten up a little bit more defensively, even though they did brilliant performance today, and figure out attacking combinations a little bit, and they're going to try and exploit those injured players or those players who aren't fully fit in the Roosters defensive line. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Who do you think is going to win the NRLW Grand Final, the Roosters or the Sharks? I'll be very interested to see your opinions in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and also don't forget, memberships are now available, and that link button should be down there somewhere. It will say join. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching. I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.